If your mind or your intelligence does not get entangled with any identity, including your body, including your own thought process, including your own emotion, spiritual process is very natural. If your intelligence is not entangled with anything, it's very natural for your intelligence to inquire and open up different dimensions of life. You identify yourself with something in search of security, in search of safety, in search of self-preservation. Otherwise, it's not doing anything else, please see. It gives you some sense of false sense of belonging, which you will anyway shed someday. The moment you're identified with something that you're not, your intelligence is freaked. It will go in cycles around that. Whatever you're identified with, your intelligence functions only around that, please see. Yes? If you identify yourself with your religion, your nationality, your family, it works only around that. It's a certain type of prejudice, isn't it? A prejudiced mind cannot see. A prejudiced mind cannot reveal the reality of life, that's all it is. When I say prejudice, it's on many different levels. No, I'm very broad-minded, I am not prejudiced. Well, you have a broad prejudice. Your mind is functioning with a certain identity. Once there is an identity, it is prejudiced. On a certain day, a man died and he went to heaven. There, God himself opened the gates of heaven, welcomed him, and God said, "See, I have a few chores to finish and come. If you could just mind the gate for me for a few minutes, I'll just come back." He felt really great, substituting for God. That's nice. Substituting for God, filling in for God is not a small honor, isn't it? Keeping the gates, but it's okay. You're doing God's job. He was waiting for something to happen, and to his distress and amazement, his wife appeared at the gates. He said, what are you doing here? This is not a local bar or something. How did you follow me? She said, well, I was just driving back from the funeral. I crashed the car and here I am. Then, when he entered, God had put a test for him. When he came to the gates, God had asked him, "See, my son, you have come here, that's fine, but you have to spell a word if you have to enter the heaven." So he had thought, oh my God, is this old man a school teacher? He's asking for a spelling. Is there a damn spelling test even here? He said, the God said, "Don't you worry, it's a simple word." "What's the word, Father?" God said, "You have to spell the word love." So, then he thought, L-U… he had told many people, "I love you," but he had never written a letter. So he thought, L-U-L-V, L-O-V-E. God said, "You passed, come in." Okay, somehow I got it. Now when his wife came, she said, "Okay, you have come here, but unless you spell a word, you can't get in." She said, "Oh, come on, if you can spell the damn word and get in, can't I do it? Tell me what's the damn word." He looked at her and said, "Czechoslovakia." Mind is a very prejudiced thing. It all depends what you're identified with, Whatever you're identified with, your mind rotates around that. Right now, you're identified with many things that you're not, many. For example, if I say, I'm speaking, as I'm speaking, suddenly if I pick up this glass and say, this is my glass, you'll think, okay, Sadhguru has a problem. But it's all right, everybody says he's wise, let's listen. After some time I say, this is me. Then you say, let's go, enough. This is too much. Please see, this is what has happened to you. For example, there are many ways to look at this. For example, food appears on your plate. You say, this is my food. You eat it and then you say, this is me. Isn't it so? What you call as my body is just a heap of food or no? Yes? It's the food that you've eaten, isn't it? What you accumulate can be yours. I will not dispute it for now, but it can never be you, isn't it so? Yes? Whatever you accumulate, it can be yours, but it can never become you, isn't it? Did you accumulate your body over a period of time? Yes or no? Yes or no? Did you accumulate your mind over a period of time? Yes? But both these things right now you call as myself, isn't it? And it doesn't stop there. It just extends into many things. Your home, your car, your things, your money, your children, your husband, your wife, a million other things. Your religion, your ideas, your ideologies, everything. You're identified with too many things which you're not. Once you're like this, your intelligence is freaked. It's a wonky intelligence, it's lost its penetration. It simply repeats old nonsense. You heard of Tenali Ramakrishna? Oh. Tenali Rama was a jester in Krishna Devaraya's court. Similar things happened also with Akbar and Birbal, but we will stick to the South Indian story. It so happened, when Krishna Devaraya was young, because of some political reasons, his mother had to leave a few-month-old Krishna Devaraya with another woman for care and go somewhere. For more than 18 months, the child was separated from the mother, but he was under the care of another woman who also had a child who was a few months older than Krishna Devaraya. So this woman nursed Krishna Devaraya as her own child. She breastfed him. And he grew up, and later on his mother came back, took him, and then he became a great emperor. So this boy, who was that woman's son, Krishna Devaraya always treated him as a brother, as an elder brother, because we drank milk from the same mother, so we are brothers. That's how he considered this. So as an expression of his gratitude, he gave away a few villages to this boy and he said, okay, you make your own kingdom. This village bumpkin got these few things and within a few years he squandered everything and lost everything and again back to square one. Krishna Devaraya went on to become a great emperor. Then one day, this man, who was over 30 years of age at that time, thought, my younger brother has become a great emperor and I am with nothing. Let me go there and see if I could get something out of this. And he went. Krishna Devaraya welcomed him as you would welcome an elder brother. He gave him all the necessary honors, all the necessary hospitality and gave him a place in the court. He just looked at this. Krishna Devaraya had gathered a scintillating array of talent in his court. He looked at all this, all kinds of debates going on, concerts going on a daily basis. He was just amazed. And above all, this Tenali Rama, such a brilliant assistant. Then he lamented with Krishna Devaraya, "You are so successful, you have become a great emperor because you have such intelligent people around you. If only I had people like you around me, I would also become a great emperor." Particularly this Tenali Rama, if I had someone like him with me, I would also become a great emperor. So Krishna Devaraya felt bad about this and he asked, "What shall I do, my brother?" He said, "If you can give this Tenali Rama to me, I will go and build a great empire of my own." So immediately Krishna Devaraya called Tenali Rama and ordered, "You must go with my elder brother, he wants you." So Tenali Rama said, "Oh, your elder brother wants me, why? I can send my elder brother with him." That looked like a good idea for Krishna Devaraya because he is not eager to lose Tenali Rama, but at the same time his elder brother is asking, he doesn't know what to do. "Oh, you really have an elder brother? I did not know." "No, I have an elder brother, let us send my elder brother with your elder brother." So they went and asked this man, "So Tenali Rama's elder brother is willing to come with you, is that okay?" So this fool thought, if Tenali Rama is so intelligent, his elder brother… He said, "Fine." Next day he is to leave and a huge send-off has been organized. So in the full assembly of the court, everybody has assembled and Tenali Rama came with a bull on the rope. He walked into the court. Krishna Devaraya saw this and asked, "What is this? Why have you brought this bull into the court?" "No, my lord, this is my elder brother." Said, "What nonsense, what is this you're trying to do?" "No, we drank milk from the same mother." Once you get identified with something that you are not, your intelligence is no good. It just becomes repetitive. So this repetitive intelligence is what we are referring to as karma. When we see somebody going through certain patterns, irrespective of the situations in which they exist. Sun came up wonderfully today morning, but somebody is miserable. Flowers are blossoming, weather is good, everything is great, but somebody is miserable. Then we say, "Oh, this is his karma." Why we are saying this is his own doing, because he has set up patterns which are just repetitive. He is not able to enjoy the sunrise, he is not able to enjoy the beautiful breeze, he is not able to enjoy the fragrance of the flowers. His karma is going on. What is going on in his head is what rules him. This is his karma. Karma means action, your action. Or in other words, your experience of life is 100% you're doing, nobody else is doing.
All the things that you identify with as yourself, whether it's your possessions, your relationships, or the things you have achieved, or the things you failed to achieve, your successes and failures, what other people think of you, they're all thought forms. They're all thought forms in your mind. And then these thought forms in your mind, they come together, they congregate in a bundle, and then this bundle of recurring thoughts become the place where you derive your sense of self from. It's a story-based entity, the me and my story, and this story is called my life. Now, my life, people think about my life is, I have to think about my life, I need to work out my life. But my life is actually a mental construct, me and my life. It consists of your past and the memories and the things, the ways in which you interpret your memories, because the things that you think happened to you, that may already be a falsification. You know that when you ask siblings, ask one sibling what the parents did 20 years ago and ask the other sibling, no, this is not what happened at all. They experienced something, their memory is totally different of the same event. So there's the egoic entity, the me, consisting of thought. And this little me, the person, the historical person, is never at ease for very long. And many egos live in an almost permanent state of underlying discontent. They don't even know it because it's so permanent, in the same way that you don't know the noise of a refrigerator, the humming, when you're in the kitchen, and suddenly it stops and you go, oh, wow. And you had no idea that the noise was going on all the time. So for many people, their state of consciousness is this underlying discontent or unhappiness is there except for brief moments when they step out of thought, but usually because they're falling below thought. They're not rising above thought, they're falling below thought. So you need a few more drinks in order, at least, now I can be a little bit happy. Of course, it doesn't work all the time. In fact, some people, when they drink, they become even more unhappy and violent. So it doesn't necessarily free you. So you have your sense of self is derived from this thinking in your head, which is maybe predominantly personal, but there are also collective aspects to it, where you derive your sense of self from. And in some cultures, more traditional cultures, a person's sense of self is predominantly a collective one, which means there are collective thought forms that this person identifies with. They have been taught at school and through their family background, and this may be a political ideology, or it may be a religious ideology that you totally identify with, and it has you in its grip. You don't know it. You don't know that you are in the grip of certain deeply lodged thought forms, and through the screen of those thought forms, you look at the world, and then you interpret it through that, and you react, and you act through that screen. So you inhabit a conceptual reality, cut off from the deeper levels of your being. Terrible, terrible. But that is a transitional stage for humans. The awakening is to realize that you had been trapped in those thought forms, which we call the ego, and suddenly you realize there's something else in me that is not thinking, but it's conscious. So I can think. The universe is telling me to stop speaking for a moment. And come back to where we started, which is, you remember I said, when you listen to the silence, underneath and in between the words, what happens inside you? And what happens inside you is you stop thinking. You cannot notice the silence, even just notice it, like now. In the moment of noticing, you are conscious, but not thinking. Ah, that's an amazing discovery. That you are able to be conscious without thinking. Now, how long that can be sustained in you is another question. But first of all, don't ask, okay, don't try to sustain it by applying willpower that doesn't work. or stop breathing. Okay, and don't push your thoughts away. That is not to be recommended. You may be able to stop thinking by using willpower and saying, okay, I'm not going to think now. And you will have to stop breathing too. And you can hold it for a while. But when the thinking comes back, it'll be as if you had taken a lid of a boiling kettle. Because you have some catching up to do. The most amazing discovery, and that is the awakening of consciousness, and let's see if we can go more deeply into that. The most amazing discovery in yourself is that the arising of that dimension of consciousness where you are conscious, but you're not thinking. I call that rising above thinking, as opposed to falling below thinking. We talked about that already. Both free you from this problematic level where humans have lived for thousands of years, that is the conceptual thinking mind. Now, we had to go through that. The conceptual thinking mind is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Where it becomes a burden and a huge source of suffering is when it becomes the source of your identity. Then when you look to thought for your sense of self. And that is a very unsatisfying place to look for yourself. Because that is what the ego does. And if you look for yourself on the level of thought, you will never be satisfied for very long. You will always come back to the state of dissatisfaction where you say, okay, that wasn't it. I thought that would free me. I thought that would make me happy. I thought that person looked so ideal until we started living together. It didn't work. They were supposed to make me happy. That was a deal. We even signed a paper. And then you get really angry. You can get angry at that person because you didn't fulfill your side of the bargain. You can become angry at God. Why don't you send me to the right person? I demand a partner that makes me happy. And so you look for the other thing, and maybe you look for happiness in an acquisition of something. A bigger house or a bigger car might give me a more satisfying sense of self. But this house or that car, when you get it, it's not really the house or the car that gives you temporarily a more inflated sense of self, because you only can experience the house and the car as a thought form, as my house and my car. So you are looking to the enhancement of your sense of self, not really through the car or the house, but it's because you only experience the car or the house as this thought form. This is my car and this is my house. Have you seen it? It's mine, look. Now that temporarily enhances your sense of self, but that also is based on thought, because these things are thought forms.
It is really to do with the wrong identification also. Because however much it might feel that I have to do this, and also you have this thought that a thought can take you out. A thought can take you, it can remove your peace, that it has that power. It does not have the power. No thought has power. You have power. You have power, and when you identify and believe in the thought, you give power to this thought. If a thought has power, then it must have same power for everybody. Nobody could disagree, oh, this thought isn't powerful. If it has power, it means it has power in itself. It has power. So therefore, nobody can refute the power of this thought. But one thought may be strong for you, but to someone else it's nothing. So it's not the thought. It is the thinker. It is the thinker of the thought that gives power to the thought. It is the thinker of the thought, the believer in the thought, that gives the thought power. What is a thought? A thought cannot think itself. I said before, no thought is self-employed. It works only, has power, when it is in contact with the thinker. And then the process of thinking, you can say, becomes activated. Thoughts arising by themselves don't have any power. But when that thinker entity, idea, contact them, and that thinker is the idea that we have of ourselves, not the true self. Let us find out the thought is nothing without the thinker. Let's find out what the thinker is. Can anybody catch the thinker of the thought? Everybody's looking to the thought. Oh, look at this one. Oh, no, this one is even more strong. Look at that one. But who is the thinker of the thought? Who is the thinker of the thought? Can anybody find the thinker? Who is thinking thought? The thinker of thoughts is also a thought. The thinker of thought is also a thought. But it's not any regular little thought. It's not no common thought. This is a 5-star thought. Because it is more intimate to the being. Because the thinker of thought also arises as I. I believe and the thought is causing me trouble. Thought is giving me so much problem. I want something different. I am tired of thoughts. Who is speaking these things? Who is speaking these things? You have to look, not assume. Everybody is assuming. This thinker is me. This thinker is me. And when you say this is me, you don't question because you assume this is a fact. But here in satsang, it is questioned. Can you find the thinker? Nowhere else in the world anyone is asking you, who is the thinker? Investigate the thinker. Why? Because the thinker is assumed to be what I am. Here it will not do. We're looking. Many things that we think we know is only what you assume. You have not experienced, not clarified for yourself. So this thinker of thoughts, which presently feels intimately to be yourself, to the extent that it feels, but how can I be a thought? Because I want to get rid of thought. How can I be a thought when I want to get rid of thought? So who is going to question this? I want to get rid of thought, so how can I be a thought? So this assumption stays hidden. It is hidden until you find out. How are you going to find out? First, find if the thinker can be found. Keep quiet. See where the thoughts are rising from. Who is speaking them? Something says, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Who is speaking them? Look and see if you can find it. It is not easy at first because you are unaccustomed to this type of question. We are used to asking questions which have an objective quality about it. Like, what color are these flowers? This one is sort of like red, and this one is so off-white. These are sort of objective questions, objective answers. But who is the one perceiving them? You say, well, it's me. Yes, but precisely what you mean by me. What is me? Who? Something inside feels, how dare you ask this question? You make me uncomfortable. Because nobody in the life asked me this question. Who am I? I am I. Yeah, I is what? Oh, no, don't. You make me uncomfortable. But here we begin to look, and something else is happening. And I encourage you, keep on looking, because all the confusion in the world came because you missed the point. Misidentification caused all this trouble. Now we are going to look. And just out of looking, not fixing, not changing, just looking clearly, something is going to change. The orientation of seeing is going to change. A little twist of attention is going to cause big difference for you. Don't assume the challenge in this existence, in this body, the challenge of consciousness in this body is to determine what arises as I. Please listen. The challenge of consciousness in this body is to be clear what arises as I. And why? Because I is a shape-shifter. It wears many different uniforms. God says, I. The devil also says, I. You say, I. Is it same I? You have to find out. Now something arises. I am tired of the thoughts. They trouble me. This one is very subtle. Nobody looks, nobody questions. Very subtle. Who will question? He's been honest. He's been honest. He's been truthful. We respect this. No, but who is I? Don't assume. Don't identify. What I'm speaking with you, it will not become clear without grace. You cannot just use your mind and push with the mind. Something must also be open. Be willing to somehow let go. Don't hold any intention. Don't hold any definition of yourself. You have to be willing to find out cleanly, like this question is being heard for the first time. Then we see what is found. Because if you're holding old knowledge, old ideas in your mind, you will not have room to discover the fullness of truth. If we are holding on to old ideas, drawing a sense of security, of protection, but also holding on to vulnerability by holding on to old ideas because you think I have to know something, I have to hold on to something, because if I hold on to nothing, what happens to me? So initially, it feels talking about these things might bring a little bit of noise in your mind. Talking about these things, oh my God, it sounds complicated. It sounds complicated to the mind because of the utter simplicity of what I'm talking about, what I'm pointing to. I'm pointing to that in you which is not constructed of thought, which itself observe thought, observe emotion, observe time, observe universe, observe belief, observe doubt, observe sadness, observes joy. All of these things are seen. Who is the seer of them? Now we have just exposed an idea that perhaps the idea of yourself as the thinker of thoughts and the doer of actions, if looked for, you may find it's only thought. It's mostly thought. It's mostly an identity based on thought. And why it is so intimate, why it feels so real, is because the thought is mixed with being. Listen, because the thought is mixed with being. Without being, thought you would not even know about it. But because the being is always present. And it's this blend of being and identity with thought, and the identity with thought is giving off this confusion. I have to go through it and say these things. It will become increasingly clear for you. It's going to become so clear it becomes effortless. Because what I am and what you are is effortless. It is effortless. And only what is effortless is natural. Meaning it doesn't depend on something else. It is shining by itself. And you are that. You are that. It is a good thing to hear this. But it will not be fulfilled until somehow it is confirmed inside you. And this confirmation comes through grace also. And grace is present. Because grace is another name for what you are. I don't want to teach you techniques. But we have to use words to redirect the attention back to the correct source. Because presently we are identifying with a lot of limitation. And you are taking the limitations to be what you are. You are not that. The limitations are also themselves thought-based. So I'm speaking these words to you now. I'm not asking you, get busy in your mind. No, relax. Because I'm not just speaking only to your mind. I'm speaking to that which knows these words intuitively. It knows this intuitively. It feels and resonates with them. Yeah. And gradually this will come more clear by itself.